Lesson we are going to compare distance, rate, and time. Distance, rate, and time. Distance is how far, rate is how fast, and time is how long. This will help you in solving word problems. Another thing you need to understand is that rate is a comparison of distance over time. Rate is a comparison of distance over time. Remember when we talked about miles per hour? That's a rate of speed. How fast can you go in an hour or minute or second? It's a comparison of distance over time. This is a rate. So remember that. Rates are a comparison of distance over time. Distance is how far, rate is how fast, and time is how long. The formula for distance is D equals R times T. The way I like to say it is dirt. D-R-T, dirt. Distance equals rate times time. Let's see how that looks with some problems that we're going to be doing. All right. So the question here is how long will it take a car moving at 50 miles per hour? That's a unit rate because remember, miles per hour, that means 1 hour. How long will it take it to travel 70 miles? Well, let's take a look at this. We can compare miles and hours, and it's 50 miles in 1 hour. How long would it take to go 70 miles? Well, we can say well, we don't know how to turn 1 into this, but we can say, how do I turn 50 into 70? You look at that and say, wow, if I multiply times 2, 50 times 2 is 100. It's going to be some decimal or fraction to turn 50 into 70. So there's got to be an easier way, and there is. That's with the dirt formula. Distance equals rate times time. So distance equals rate times time. So let's take a look at this. What is the distance? Well, the distance is 70 miles. 70 miles equals rate times time. Well, what's the rate? Oh, the rate is 50 miles per hour. So it's 50. But we don't know the time. It says how long. Remember, time is how long, so that's the part that we don't know. So 70 equals 50 times time. This looks like the algebra that we used to solve. How do we do that? We undo multiplication by division. Remember, we do the opposite operation. Instead of multiplication, we do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. And we want to isolate this variable. We want to get this variable all by itself. That means we divide by 50. So we're going to divide by 50, and whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. So now we have 70. So this cancels out. And t equals 70 divided by 50. It's still not a pretty problem to solve, but it's a little easier than the other way. 70 divided by 50. 50 goes into 70 one time. 1 times 50 is 50. 70 minus 50 is 20. 50 does not go into 20, not evenly, not with the whole number. So let's bring down this. How many times does 50 go into 200? Well, I know 50 goes into 100 twice, so it must go into 400 4 times. So the answer here is 1.4. 1.4 what? Well, it's time, and our time is being measured in hours, so 1.4 hours. There it is. 1.4 hours is the time. Now they have their way of solving it here, but This right here, I think, makes things a little... Take a look at this. An airplane flies at 250 miles per hour. How far will it travel in 5 hours at that rate of speed? So do we know how fast? Yes, 250 miles per hour. So this is the distance equals rate times time. So the rate is 250. And do we know the time? Well, we know how long, in 5 hours. So 250 times 5 equals 1,250. 1,250, oh, miles per hour, so that must be 1,250 miles. Take a look. It says find the missing variable. Well, the distance is 60. The time is 4 hours. So they want to know the rate. So let's write out our formula. Distance equals rate times time. They give us the distance, which is 60. And they give us the time, which is 4. They did not give us the rate. So let's rewrite the problem. 60 equals 4 times r, because remember, we don't write r times 4. We always put the number, then the variable. And we don't have to write this multiplication sign. We just leave it like that. So to solve this, we would divide both sides by 4. That cancels out, leaving us rate equals 60 divided by 4. 60 divided by 4 is 15. Because 4 times 15 is 60. So our rate is 15, and it says kilometers per hour. So I'm going to write kilometers per hour. Remember, it's a rate, and a rate is a comparison of distance to time. So it's 15 kilometers per hour. One of the problems students have a lot of trouble with is problem number 5. Problems like problem number 5, where they give you the distance, or they do not give you the distance, but they give you the time and the rate. And this seems to confuse students, because in the previous problem we did division to undo it. But this one you don't have to actually do that. Here it says distance equals rate times time, and they don't give you the distance, so let's leave that the way it is. They tell you the rate, it's 160 times time, which is 25. Now, I've seen students do this. Well, they'll divide both sides by 160, or they'll divide both sides by 25, because they're trying to follow the same way we've done the other problems, the problem we just did. However, notice this. Remember, what was our reason for dividing? Our reason for dividing is to isolate the variable. So if we didn't know time, we would divide by the rate, so we get that number away from the variable. Here, we don't have any variables next to each other. The variable is already isolated all by itself. So all we have to do is do 160 times 25, and as soon as we have that, we will know what our distance is. And 160 times 25 is 4,000. So our distance is 4,000. And it's 4,000 what? Well, this was 25 days, and this was M for days. So I don't know if that's months or miles or what their comparison here, but it's M for D here. So miles per day, maybe that's what that stands for. So maybe it's 4,000 miles. Remembering that a rate is comparison of two measures. So one of those measures is the days, the time, and the other one is the miles or minutes or whatever they're actually making on a comparison here. So write your formula. Distance equals rate times time. Fill in the information you know, and then solve the problem.